Why would a 20-year-old go into a business of funeral?
I was born and raised on Odunlami, Lagos Island.
Okay.
Odunlami Street, which is synonymous with casket and funeral. At the age of 20, you can start making an arrangement for a future funeral. It doesn't mean it's going to happen in the next 30 or 40 years, but it can happen anytime. Nigerians not wanting to talk about death. It happens a lot. When somebody dies in a family and you want to approach them in terms of arranging burial for them, they get aggressive at you at times. They're angry. They still don't want to believe that person has died. We've seen a situation that they'll bring bodies to us, and can you believe they'll tell you, don't embalm, don't put it in the face, it's gonna wake up. When death come knocking, there's no waking up.
Mr. Harrison Dehinde,
Yes.
CEO, founder, Ebony Funerals. You know, I was talking to my colleagues and I said, look, if I'm going to speak with this man who's the founder of Ebony Lives, he has to be like an octogenarian or something. because I was a kid when I first knew about Ebony Life. How many years has it been?
It's been 40 years now.
40 years?
Yeah. I had Ebony for 1985.
Why do you look 50? How old are you, by the way?
I'm 68.
Huh? 2 years from 70?
Yeah.
I look older than you.
I think he's a dead end.
It got me. I mean, for somebody who's been hovering in the vicinity of death.
They take good care of me.
The dead take care of you.
Because I take good care of them. I give them a befitting burial, and when they get there, say, no, this man, we have to keep him alive and make him look young, always look young.
Fantastic. 40 years. 85. Yeah. Well, I think the dead are conscious and can't help or harm anyone, but everybody's entitled to their opinion. But 85. And you're 68.
Yeah.
And your 20s when you started.
Yeah, I was in my 20s.
Why would a 20-year-old go into a business of funerals?
It's a long story. I was born and raised on Odunlami, Lagos Island.
Okay.
Odunlami Street, which is synonymous with casket and funeral. As far back as I think MIC, they started. That started as like 1940 something, and there are other people. I have an uncle who was into casket making then. So there are a couple of other people on that street. So the whole street is synonymous with casket and funeral undertaking. So when we wake up in the morning, the first thing we see when we step out of our house is casket, and the last thing we see when we're going into the house it's casket. Shops all over the place. So it has always been something but I actually did engineering and school, and at one point in time, I traveled and I saw the way they do funeral that is quite different from the way we do it then, back then in Nigeria. That when the family is bereaved, the major thing you get on Odunlami is just the casket. Then you have to go to the local government to get a hearse, which we call ambulance, then not really ambulance. You have to go to the local government to get it. You have to look for people that would do one sewing mistress that would do shroud, which for the female. Then pallbearers have been done by in-laws then. In-laws will be the ones that will carry in those days. No professional pallbearers. The in-laws will, when they buy from us, the in-laws will be the one. When it's time for them to lift the casket or do anything, they will call on the in-laws to come. They will put the casket on their shoulder. Then 2, 3 months or 5 months after burial, their wives, they're still helping them to massage their shoulder. So it was, but when the first time I traveled then and I saw a funeral home, I just saw people in black. They'll drive into the, into the compound. a funeral home. The whole thing will take place there. And most funeral homes, they have the cemetery right behind them. If not, the cemetery is not always far away. You just see people in black suit and they will walk beside the hearse, and they either do the burial within that compound. Even the viewing and everything is done within one compound. But in our own time, when I was young, when I was seeing it, they have to do viewing. It's something families still do. They do viewing of the body in the family house. You have to look for somebody to decorate the family house for the family to view the body for the last time, which is called lying in state. But over there is quite good. So when I came back to Nigeria, not that I stayed long, I came back to Nigeria, and I was just thinking, I was still working, went back to my engineering, and after a while I just got fed and I said I wanted something more challenging than what I was doing then. When I was working I worked with Mandela's, Volkswagen of Nigeria, auto engineering service, steel and gas and steel. I said I wanted something different. And the first thing that came to my mind was funeral. Maybe because I grew up around that area, or because my mom happens to be near Bank Anthony.
Bro.
And Bank Anthony has been in funeral business, the first funeral business in Nigeria as far back as 1890 something.
Whoa.
So I don't know what came all over me. I just said, I wanted something more challenging. And what came to my mind was that's how I started with one casket.
So that was the point when you decided this is what I want
to do.
But again, some of those feelings were triggered not only by the experience around you, where, like somebody in the funeral business once told me, look, you see them as caskets. They're just furniture to me.
Piece of furniture.
Just piece of furniture. It was that. And then the fact that you traveled out of the country and then you saw it totally, it's like your eyes opened.
A different ball game entirely, the way they handle funeral. Yeah. And the passion I have for being sympathetic with people when they are bereaved. Because growing up, I used to see them when people come to buy a casket. While they're picking casket, some of them are still crying. Yeah. And I'm sure majority of them, the person that died probably have died about 3-4 days, a week or 2 weeks before then. But immediately they come to a casket shop and they see, and they're like, they start shedding tears again. And I keep thinking, how do you sympathize with this? With their feelings? How do you help them out of their predicament? So when I went my mind, when I said, okay, we'll do it in such a way that it's not just about business. It's about sympathizing with the family and letting them know life is all about life and death. It's side by side. As long as you are alive, in 1 minute you are alive, the next minute you're gone. It is like it, left and right. So that's how the whole thing came to my mind. And
I get that thinking. I was 15 when I lost my granddad, and to the point you made about having the deceased lie in state in their home on their bed. In my case, they brought grandpa's bed from his room to the middle of the sitting room. And, it was just there for the whole night. It was a bit difficult for me because I was just a young kid. And there were too many people. We had to sleep over and there weren't enough rooms. So my mom was going to sleep in the sitting area where the corpse was. There were mattresses just thrown on the ground, and I was lying next to my mom, and until I wanted to get up and pee, and just got up in the middle of the night. Everybody else was sleeping, everybody was crying, and casket. It's like, what is going on? It was a bit too much. Not to mention that one of our uncles started to scream at some point during the course of the night, which is another story, and then people have all these things, all these beliefs. Like you said, most people take it out of the homes now. Yeah. But that education would have started with some of, the work you started in the mid-80s and all of that. Yes. But tell me, how easy was it to convince people, your family, your friends, and financiers that this is where this is the road, this is the future?
let me add to what you just said. I lost my dad when I was just 3 years old. My dad died in 1960. And growing up, I know when people are bereaved, because I also had an uncle from my grandmother's side who happens to be doing casket inside the house I grew up. But he was not as popular as that of MIT. Like I said, there are other casket people. So I've always seen these people come, and one of the most difficult time you can meet people or family when they are bereaved is that's one of the most difficult times, because, you know, the person that passed on probably is just as young as 30 or in his or her 40s, and this is somebody they're looking up to, and they don't expect that person to pass on in the next 40 or 50 years, and the person just died. Most time they're devastated. They're like, they don't even know what to go, who to talk to, and you see them. I grew up seeing them being disorientated. They don't know what to tell. That's part of the reason why it came to my mind that, you know what, since I know about it, I grew up with this business, why don't I just, there are ways I can put it, there are ways I can do it that to ease their bereavement. In time of bereavement, anybody that is there for the family, they will always remember you, because it's not something they pray for or they expect, but it's inevitable end.
Something
but
that
just
must be dealt with.
But they just don't want to accept the fact that it's going to happen. Even when somebody is 90 years old and you tell the family, have you made arrangement? Because right now we do prepaid funeral arrangement. That, okay, I'm 40, I'm 50, I want to arrange, do prepaid for my funeral in 30 years time. Probably it's not going to be that long. You don't even want to talk to anybody about it, because most Nigerians, when you talk to them, unlike in Europe or in America, in a civilized country,
or South Africa,
they accept it. There is insurance that you can start paying, even at the age of 20, you can start making an arrangement for a future funeral. It doesn't mean it's going to happen in the next 30 or 40 years, but it can happen anytime. But at the end of the day, it's still going to happen. How about if you are okay now to do insurance and start paying for it, and but you refuse to do it, and but when you are old and ready to go and your children cannot afford, and there's no arrangement in place in terms of government taking care of the departed ones, so where do you go? That means the funeral is just going to be done in such a shamble way. The children, whatever they can afford, or even if they can, some of them bring the body of their departed parents to the morgue and they don't turn up again. We've seen situations like that. They will not turn up because they don't even have money to make arrangement for the funeral. So at times government had to come in. That's why in those days they usually do mass burial. People that don't turn up to pick up the body of their departed loved ones, government will say, okay, let's go and do a mass burial for them, But while you are still active and you're making money, you can make arrangement and say, okay, we want a prepaid. I'm going to pay for it in the next 5 years. I'm going to pay for it in the next 2 years. I'll do a deposit and I'll be making subsequent, balance. And that's the way it's supposed to be done. Almost Nigerians don't want to hear about it. We also have crematorium. Right now, which we're going to do the opening, we have in our office in Ikoyi, we have a complete funeral home there. Okay. We have a mortuary, we have a showroom for casket, we have a hall, we have like a chapel where you can do wake keep, service of song, or a burial proper, which is the church service. And we have a 500 season capacity hall where you can do all that. In Ikoyi there. Then we also have a crematorium. Even if you don't want to bury, you want to cremate. And all these machines there, modern machines that we brought in for the fridges from Germany, the cremator from UK, and they're all brand new. They're from Europe. They actually manufactured the fridges from Germany, which I went there. We did the booking. Then the crematorium was done in UK. The cremator was done in UK. And we have just installing. So which we intend to do the opening very soon, maybe this month or latest next month, which we're expecting the number one citizen of Lagos to come and do the opening for us. Beautiful. So it's a one-stop shop. It's about 2 hectares of land, which anybody can drive in, whatever. You just let us know how much you want to spend.
2 hectares of land in
Yes, because as far back as the place, when the British were in charge, they earmark all those areas for cemetery. Mm-hmm. So, the place is being earmarked for cemetery as far back as when the British were ruling us. So it's not just somebody, it's just that some part that has not been used. That's why we had to,
Beautiful. To the point about the crematorium, there used to be a time in Nigeria where, you couldn't even, it wasn't a conversation to be had.
Yes.
Are you, from your experience, are more Nigerians open to
cremation?
Yes,
they are now. In the past, it's just the Indians, the Asians in general, Indians, Chinese, Koreans, and few of the Europeans that like to cremate their departed loved ones. But right now, few Nigerians are involved. In a month, right now, you have as much as 5, 6, 7 Nigerians being cremated. In the past, in 5 years, 1 Nigerian might not be cremated. They don't want to even talk about it. They don't want to hear about it. But right now, in the month, you have up to about 4, 5, 6 Nigerians being cremated. So that tells you they are buying into the idea of cremation, either because of the financial aspect of burial, proper burial, or they just feel, why would they want to, keep going to the cemetery we can cremate, we put the ashes in a horn.
Yeah.
So we put it in a horn, and the horn, they can keep it in the house. They can use it to plant flowers. We also have bracelets that you put ashes. If you believe you want to have part of your mom or your dad's ashes, you have bracelet that you just open, put lid, and even necklace, that we sell. That if you want to put some of the ashes there, we just put it there. And
Interesting.
And you go about it. And we also have a wall, which we're doing now. If you want to keep some of the ashes with us inside the horn, you can keep the horn. It's just you pay token, for yearly token for helping you to keep the kind of post office box we have in those days. It's a wall where you just put the ashes. You have the key, you lock it.
Certainly. Yeah. Now, I've heard on this topic, I mean, you being the expert, I've heard some of the objections to cremation being, faith. Like, why would I want my body to burn when I die? Especially for people, I've had that said by people, it's like, I mean, you can have a conversation about the potential for people burning when they die and all of that. Why am I throwing myself into a fire? Do you get those kind of reactions?
That's
from certain clients or some of their family members who might object.
Yes, we get that a lot. But apparently, some people will want to be cremated when they're dead, but immediately they die, because most times they don't tell their extended family, just tell maybe 1 or 2 people.
Yeah.
And in Nigeria, when it comes to funeral, everybody wants to be involved. Yeah. Even despite the fact that majority of those involved are not putting down a dime, they still want to call the shot. They want to dictate and tell you what to do or what not to do, like uncles, aunties, nephews and nieces. And but some people, if that's what they want, they let them know, they put it in their will. And most times they don't even read will before people. So what they do, they tell their lawyers that, please, this is what I want to be buried. This is what I want them to do about my burial. When they do that, they now try and pay for the cremation before they go. And there'll be a receipt, and they give the receipt to the lawyer, and also give 1 or 2 family members, give them copies that, okay, if it happens, I've made arrangement, this is how I want to be. So it's always very difficult for family to change their decision when after they've gone. So what they do, but some there's always problems. Majority of the family, they said, is against, like you said, religion. That why would you want to burn this man or this woman when, it's not in any of the religion that people should be cremated? But it's just a matter of choice.
Yeah, because there's also the talk, religious people. I'm not going to pretend I don't know enough about Islam, but from my knowledge of Christianity, people talk about resurrection. Again, it's a different conversation. I do not know whether people assume that it's the same body that will decompose, that would not necessarily be. But they have all those conversations. Christians have been on record to say, if you burn the body, what will be resurrected? Have you had those kind of concerns?
Yeah.
And in any case, those of your clients who have chosen the path of cremation, are they themselves, from your experience, or were they themselves religious or more non-religious?
They are majority of them are religious people, and
but they are usually very enlightened.
Very enlightened because they believe. Even talking about resurrection, it's not the body that you've used. I think it's the soul. If somebody is going to resurrect, it's not the body, because the body that has been used must have been buried. Even if it's to be buried, you are not resurrecting that used body. You are resurrecting the soul, and the resurrection, it's not that used body. It's a soul that will be resurrected. So that is some idea of the resurrection that you are talking about. Because you can imagine, if you say somebody is going to be resurrected, somebody's going to resurrect, he has cancer. The body has already, even some of them, the body has decomposed.
Right inside, even while they were living.
So you're rotting. So you can see that it's not that body per se. It is the soul that we're talking about when it comes to that aspect of religion. That is not that body, is the soul. So these are enlightened people, and they just say, you know what, this is what I want, and that's how I want it to be done.
Yeah. Many contexts. Personally, and this is me personally, once a person takes their last breath, that's that for then. And as a Christian and somebody who reads the Bible does hold out the hope for resurrection. And the Bible also records people being resurrected, some of them days after. And when you calculate, Lazarus was about 4 days, naturally, because there was no evidence that he was embalmed or anything. He was, and remember, his sister said, by now he must smell, which means decomposition
must have taken
place in 4 days. In 4 days, that body is gone. But the resurrection, that body was not needed. Even when Jesus was resurrected, even some of his very close associates could not even recognize him. So the point I'm driving at is that, the guy is dead. He's dead. Whatever memory of that person is rests with his maker.
Yes.
And this is the Bible also says, God, the hairs of your head are numbered. So, if God knows how many, you don't even know. To replicate you should not be an issue for the maker. But let's leave that aside and then come back to the part of business. You said something a while ago about people preparing. Because here there are taboos, and I'm going to come to taboos because I want you to share some of the craziest experiences you've seen in your line of work. But before that, people don't like to talk about death. I mean, this is a culture where people will not even would say I am strong when they mean to say I am weak. People fear saying negative things. So. And it's a thought I've held for years. It was it was more, DSTV that let us understand more about South African culture. Because they always had adverts about, you know, insurance, pay for your death, pay for your do you know all that? I know. I used to laugh that Nigerians would be like, God forbid, over my dead body, Orimiko, you know, and all of that. So it is not easy to find people make preparations for their burial. Yeah. I have a family member, my children's granddad, who, when he was burying his mother at Ikoyi Cemetery, you know, paid for a crypt that, you know, a vault. Paid for a vault that had. So he bought a three chamber vault, put his mother in one, and left the other two for himself and his wife. Yeah. He's been dead now, I think, 18 years. Yeah. His mama is still alive. Okay. And, you know, I was just thinking the other day, Ikoyi Cemetery, what that man did, he just helped his children. Right. Yeah. Because mama is maybe 86 now, approaching 90. And, you know, the inevitability will happen. Yeah. And that is one thing taken out of the concerns of the kid. Yeah. So here we are, dealing with this question of preparing. Nigerians not ready. And much of it, taboos, cultural, what's the word for them now? Superstitions and all of that, all this thing. In the line of your business, has it affected business per se to a degree for you?
To buttress your point about Nigerians not wanting to talk about death, it happens a lot. It's an everyday thing to us. Even when somebody dies in a family and you want to approach them to help them out of the predicament in terms of arranging burial for them, do you believe at times when you approach, if you are not careful the way you approach them, within 24 to 48 hours of the demise of that person, do you believe some family will be so aggressive at you? Are you the one that killed? This is somebody you did not know before. You're just approaching them to let them know there are ways you can help them out of the situation. That's what we're here for. They get aggressive at you at times. They're angry. They still don't want to believe that person has died. We've seen situations that they'll bring bodies to us, and can you believe they'll tell you, don't embalm, don't put it in the fridge, it's going to wake up. Some family members sits with the body, even in the morgue, for 24 hours, thinking the person. Because we will always request for a death certificate. We always want doctors to certify the person dead before we do anything, before we even pick. Yeah. Because there's a law in Lagos State that says there must be a death certificate. If there's no death certificate, that means a coroner case that the police has to come in, do their investigation, then go to the police will approach a magistrate court to get a form signed for pathologists to do the body, to do the post-mortem. So some people will come and say, don't leave the body there. It's still going to wake up. He or she's still going to wake up. They will sit for 24 hours. After 24 hours, that's when they're like, okay, you can now go ahead and embalm. Already, doctor has certified the person dead. They've issued a medical certificate of death. But they still believe
this is not just clinically
dead. This is, dead. Scientifically and everything, dead. And it's still, so it's always like that. We have that kind of, but we've been, like I said, we've been there for 40 years. We know how to manage the whole thing. You will be calm with them. You'll let them know life is about, but you have to be cautious of what you say because they are really, really, most times they're devastated. And Nigerians, we believe, even when people are 90-something years old, they still believe they're not supposed to die. At the age of 90-something, they're not supposed to die. How can it, she go now? Why? Somebody must have done something. So that is situation where we find ourselves, but we know how to manage it. We're mature about it. So when somebody's acting that way or getting aggressive, or some will carry Bible, they read Bible, some will carry Quran and start reading for hours beside the dead, and we'll just calm down. We wait for them until when the person says, okay, I'm satisfied with my conscience and I believe the person has gone.
Denial is also one of the stages of grief.
Yes.
And I appreciate the words you use because, you obviously understand this thing.
Yes.
Empathy.
Yes.
It's not always easy. I consider myself reasonably educated or enlightened or exposed or whatever it is. But 3 years ago, when I lost my dad, it wasn't easy.
Yeah.
In the build-up, in the months leading up to things, when he called me to give me specific instructions about what he wanted for his funeral, I didn't want to hear it. I kept saying, Dad, you are not dying. You are not going to die. Because in a way, at that point in my life, there was hardly anything I feared more than losing my dad. And until I got the full diagnosis and I knew that, okay, it's hospice care now. There is no coming back. It's too late. Nothing. It is done. And then I went over to him. And then I held him and cried. And I told him that it's time for you to rest. You will rest. And I don't remember crying like that before. And I just made peace. And I had the time to say, thank you. Thank you. The best things about me, you gave them to me. You will rest now, and nothing will hurt you anymore. And because I am one of those who believe in a resurrection, which is the next conversation. Yeah. I wonder whether you take this into account, because I believe in the resurrection, but probably not the way most people do. I believe in the Bible resurrection, that, God who made us resurrect people. And I told my dad that I will see you again. Yeah. And I'm confident of it. When I do not know, but to that point, how you navigate this thing at a time when emotions are high, grief is all of that. People talking to you about miracles. People really. One of my colleagues in the office lost her mother, and I could see this young woman grieving. Weeks had passed. Yeah. And she was still telling me, no, my mom is not dead. I'm sure about it. My mom is not dead. And I was like, oh, how many hours after the passing? Rigor mortis had already set in the first instance. And then it took a long time. At the point and you have to show this. So do you also offer this kind of services to people like that? Or is it just, you just show empathy, you show understanding? And all of that. You've heard these things.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. When people are bereaved, we empathize with them. And in the sense that, because there's this denial that this person cannot die.
Just can't believe it.
That is why we have what we call counseling. We try and approach some families and let them know that after the demise of such a person, we're still available for you. Yeah. We'll go there to counsel them, to tell them that. That's why in our organization we have some priests and that we can send to you, sit with you, discuss about life, because that is their own thing. That's their own jurisdiction. They can tell you more about religion, about life and death, even than we, the funeral directors. So we have them in our midst. So we'll tell families, we can send such a person to you. You don't have to pay anything. After we'll help you after we've done the funeral, we can send to spend some time, explain to you whether you're a Christian or you're a Muslim, you're an unbeliever. We'll let you know that this is all about life. Anything that you say life, that you call life, there's always death right there beside that thing. There's no single life, there's no death. So
the Bible says the living are conscious that they will die.
definitely. So that is how we do it. We have people, we have that department with us where we sympathize and go there to consult them in the sense that, okay, this is what it takes. This is how it's going to go. And after a while, when we're done, after a while, they now come back to us and say, we really appreciate your efforts and your wisdom about that thing, that because we don't know, and most times it's like when a young person dies, you can imagine a 50 or 60-year-old man that lost a child of 25, 30. And this man is, maybe that's the only child in the family. You can imagine, maybe that's the only child, and looking up to that child that he or she's going to take over, everything they have. And the child just, after school, uni, everything, they've set up something for the child, is building up to take over the company or whatever they have. And the child just went like that. So it takes a while for them to get out of it, because each time they remember, we're in our 60s. Maybe we have another 20, 30 years more to go. Where do we start from? If the father is in his late 60s, the mother is maybe early 60 or late 50s. Where do you go? For them to, even if they decide to go and adopt, how do they adopt a young baby to train at their age? So those are, each time it cross their mind, they still, but at the end of after maybe a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you are able to talk to them and let them know that is all. They just put themselves together and move on with their life.
Usually tougher when it's a younger person.
Yes.
Years ago, there was this colleague of ours who was a medical student. I think she was doing her housemanship here on the island. So she used to come on the radio sports show broadcasts with me and my guys, Femi and the gang. And then on this fateful day, it was, I think it was the country's Independence Day, we had an event. And then the night before, she had asked for time that she would be late to that event. And she took me in confidence. I've not been in a date for a while. Young medical student, 21. First class medical student. As a matter of fact, at that time I was told she was the first class of our school, our set there, I think UNN. And she was already on scholarship. She was doing a housemanship with an oil company here who had also given her a scholarship to the US. So she was like that kind of a family and this low-income family. And then she went out on this date. They ended up at the beach, a swimming incident. She drowned and she died. It's been years now where it has never left me, the grief that family felt. The mother, I went to their far place at, what's this place? So, and all the mother kept saying was, who did this to me? Who did this? What did I do? And it scarred me, like really, really scarred me, a 21-year-old. Clearly, the star of that family. Are there specific myths about death and burial that, as a professional, sometimes you wish people would let go of?
Yeah. In this business, I've seen a lot. And you mentioned a young person that just died. You can imagine, let's reverse it and say, this is a young girl that is so bright, ready to move on. And the parents sponsoring her, paying her school fees, just died. And you can imagine what she will have gone through too.
Yeah.
For her she's still in school, they're paying her school fees and everything. Maybe the dad and mom had an accident and the two of them died. Where will she go from there? Who will she approach? In Nigeria, you can't even trust family members that they're going to be there for you when your parents are no longer alive. So these are things that happens all the time. And when it happens like this, that's when you realize life, it's a journey. It's not a sprint, and it's not the kind of thing that you can. Most times you plan, you strategize. Like the saying on the street, man proposes, God disposes. While you are planning, you don't know what God have in future for you, what is there ahead of you. That's one of the things that God is always ahead of us, because what you are planning is different from what is going to happen. So, but when it happens, can we blame God? Can you query him? Who are we? He created us. So, and whatever I didn't feel, that's what he's going to do. Maybe there are things to come in future that you're going to be happy about, and that you're going to, not that people will sympathize with you, you show empathy that this didn't happen. But in future, by the time another thing happened, you're like, okay, maybe even if the parent had not died, maybe this opportunity will not come his or her way. You get what I'm saying? But it's always very, very difficult thing to predict. So we can't query God. We just have to accept and move on. This happens all the time. We get to see this. We get to, we get to encounter people that goes through all this, and we just say, you know what? We can't query the Alpha and Omega, and so we just have to accept it and move on.
And even beyond that, even the Bible says, even Jesus was quoted as saying, time and unforeseen occurrences befalls everyone. You might make this, sometimes you're just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and things happen beyond that. It's an interesting perspective. I must admit, this is not a very easy topic for many people, because again, like we said, people don't even want to talk about it. They are like, if you talk about it, you're attracted. You understand it. But sometimes it's good to have these conversations. And sometimes it also helps you to prepare. Why? Because in my time, I've seen death impoverish families. Yeah. And some of the worst things that happens is that even before death comes, especially chronic illness, where a member of the family has been sick over an extended period of time. The family has already exhausted their entire resources trying to save his life or her life, and then he or she dies anyway. And then the family then has to run around and pull up whatever else is left of the family resources to bury this person. And by the time they are done, the next school fees will be hard to pay. One or two of the kids might have to drop out of school, and all of this. And sometimes it helps to just prepare. Just the same way we think about will. There are still people who don't want to write their will because they fear that if they begin to talk about will, they're attracting death. It is a whole lot. Yeah. I just want to ask you how working, I'm going to ask you how working so close to death has affected or changed you yourself and the way you live life. But before that, I think this is the best part where I want to hear your experiences. You did say, I have seen things. What are some of the most outrageous or ridiculous experiences that you have had? We've had different things. The cops hitting the casket. Let me out, let me out, let me out. Have you seen any of that? Or what are some of the most emotive experiences that you've either seen on the field or that your team members have reported to?
You see, when death come knocking, there's no waking up anything. You see, in Nigeria, in the past, there are some situations that we've experienced that when people are in coma, some family believe they're dead and gone. I think that's part of the reason when His Excellency, former governor of Lagos, Babajide Fashola, had to promulgate that law. Pass that law rather
until
as
the
the
person
house
is declared
by medical personnel, medical doctor, to say this person is dead. So that's why he insisted on having, medical certificate of death. It has to be issued by a doctor, by a qualified doctor. And he has to put primary and secondary cause of death. So that in future, and that is apart from being sure that the person is there, in future at times, some family members might believe they killed that person. Either there's a foul play or, so if there's a court case, they can call on the doctor that issued the medical certificate and say, did you certify this person dead? Did you know the cause of death? Has this person has been your patient before? Did you examine? That's why most hospitals, if you go there, if the sick person is not brought in for about 24 to 48 hours, they will not issue a death certificate. Especially when it's a BID. They will just write a note. They will not issue a medical certificate of death because they don't know the cause of death. Unless the person is their patient, that person has been their patient for a long time. They can say, okay, we know the cause. He's been having cancer, he's been having this kidney or whatever problem, and we know it's just a matter of time. So they issued medical certificate of death, which will indicate the primary and the secondary cause. And the doctor has to put his name and the stamp of the hospital. That's one. Two, in respect of people saying somebody gets, they like, no. When people are not dead, they just believe some people might take some medication and be there for 24 hours. They might not even work. And, when you are not a medical person, if that person is in coma, you might not know. You'll just feel if you don't feel the pulse. Being not being a medical, you might not even know how to feel the pulse. So that's why you need that person. We've seen situations they've got, especially when it comes to Islamic religion, within 24 to 48 hours, they want to do interment. So they call on us. What we normally tell them is we want you to call your family doctor or whatever doctor you have around, whichever one,
to
certify this person dead before we move this body. Because we don't want situation that there might be litigation in future. The person might have, in my typical Nigerian, might have two wives, children from this woman, from another woman. You might say, no, they killed, or they did it. The wife might. So we always, if there is a proof, if the person is medically proven that he's medically dead, rather. So we don't have a case. They just presented death certificate, medical certificate of death, and the doctor will come and explain. That's all what they say. You have to knock. It's just an imaginary thing. We've never experienced anything. I remember when we were young, when they come to carry on Odulami, they'll put palm trees in front of the hearse, which is they use. They said the driver must not look side mirror, whether
I've always wondered what those palm fronds, those leaves represent.
It's just all the sorry.
There's a belief. I used to think maybe it was just that's how you identify that this vehicle is carrying a corpse.
They just said if you don't put it, the dead will not go. The vehicle will break down like 20 times.
Okay.
You can't look at the side mirror. You want to enter the morgue, you have to knock 3 times before you open the door of the morgue. Or if somebody, you remember when we were young, when they tell you your neighbor, maybe somebody dies in the neighborhood, if you want to pass the front of the house, your head will be swollen as if it's just an imaginary thing. It's not just all this superstition. It's nothing like that. That's why we always educate people when they come. That's why it's a good thing we have everything in place now. Even before you can do prepaid, you can call on us. So if I die in 20 years' time, okay, you can buy a vault where you're going to be buried. You can choose a casket, pallbearers, motor vehicle as highest, brass band, whatever you want. You want your body to be cremated. Everything is in place. All you need to do, approach us or call us on the phone. We can even you can go to our website and everything you'll see. You can call on us. Whatever you don't have there, we'll come and explain or just forward it to your email and you'll see everything. And you'll be comfortable to say, okay, this is what I want, this is what I don't want. And everything will be done in no time.
I love this education, of course, which you attribute to Lagos State government. I hope it's also national. Oh, it should be global. Which is also for funeral homes to also understand that you need medical certification before you process a corpse for burial, because things do happen. Accidents, for instance, when accidents happen and people may appear dead. They're probably parts of their body are here, there. And sometimes some of them are in shock, are in coma. I know because I've been there before. I've been brought to a hospital DOA before. I was dead on arrival. I was involved in an accident. This was in 2005. I had just become a dad for the first time. My baby was a month and a half. I was involved in an accident on my way to Lagos. And I was commuting from Ibadan to Lagos, taken to this hospital. Well, again, I do not know anything. When it was several hours, but a day and a half or something like that, when I came to my senses and where am I? What is going on? By this time, my mother, my family, my friends were all sitting around me.
Right.
And guess what? When I finally spoke with the doctor, he said, when you came in, because there were other victims, we didn't even touch you. We were looking at those because you were declared dead. And I had a gash in my head, and you could literally see my skull or whatever. There was a gash in my head. My was open. So they had just packed me. And it was, the doctor said it was an experienced nurse. A long time later, I'd been lying down there for maybe like an hour or whatever, who then noticed that there was fresh, the blood had caked. And the doctor said, the nurse said, there's some blood, fresh blood coming. This shouldn't be. They came and started checking for pulse again. Initially, they didn't find the pulse. He then said he eventually found a very faint pulse. I'm not sure what he said, whether the ankle or something. Like he found a very faint pulse. And he just told me, just said, you know what, let's patch him up and see.
Let's see if it's gonna.
So he just sutured me up and just tried to attach me to a machine and just hope. And I woke up eventually. Now, I could have been thrown in the casket and I'll probably then wake up while the casket was on its way to there. Like, get me out of here. And sometimes I joke about it and I say, I was one of those people who come up with some fantastic story of I'd gone, I'd seen light. I was, I was told to go back and all of that. Maybe I'll probably make a lot of money. But to be honest with you, I didn't know anything. That is just me. You are entitled to, people are entitled to their own experiences, but I didn't know anything. But so you can understand that this is sobering for me. So it's important that certification be sought and obtained and the doctors be meticulous. Because sometimes somebody who appears dead may just be unconscious. So back to the point. All this knowledge, all this experience, working so closely with the dead for 4 decades. How do you cope? How has it affected? How has it changed you?
Let me first of all buttress what you said about being involved in an accident. We've seen situations where, especially in the north, and I'm not trying to castigate one side of it, but in the north, if you have an accident and, because this I'm talking from experience, we've gone to see situation where we realize that people that are being buried by the roadside, if there's an accident, when they get there and they see that maybe the hospital or a clinic or health center is far away, at times they just dig by the roadside. They just dig and bury people.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
We've seen situations where we'll go, and when the family gets to know, maybe the family, they're Christians or they're Muslim, they're from the south or they're from, even right there in the north, but they don't want their departed loved ones to be buried by the roadside. They now call on us to come and help them exhume the remains that they need to identify their loved ones. They want to give that person proper burial not to be buried by the roadside. When we get to some of those places where they bury people, we realize there are some things we'll see, the way you meet the corpse in the grave, knowing that this person actually struggled while in the soil. While in that soil before the person passed on. You'll see some situation like you have the person like the hand like this, whereas chlorine trend and then through. So, but we don't, what we do, we can't say anything. Our own job is just to exhume the body and take for a proper burial. So that is why it's a good thing that I'll call on all the other states too to pass that law to make sure that there is a proper death certificate, medical certificate of death before they bury anybody. It's going to be difficult, especially, but it is also very important that they do it, because at times when somebody is not dead and you decide to bury the person, the agony of that person being in the soil and alive but couldn't help the situation. So it's always, it's things that we've seen and we don't like, but there's nothing we can do about it because the deed has been done. Yeah. And those that did the thing, they did not... they
don't mean any
harm or anything. They just did it for... That's what they know and that's how they feel. Yeah. They don't want to leave the corpse by the roadside. Maybe they're just driving past or they're villagers. But in some cases, some people will carry the body, put in their own vehicle, especially those commercial buses. And another thing is that when they get those bodies to the morgue or to police station or to the hospital, at times the hospital doesn't want to take. They say, how do we explain this? Where are you bringing them from? How are we sure you did not kill them? I'm sure for years now, this debate has been going on that when they get somebody to the hospital, as long as the person is alive, then you can request for police report or any other report later. But because of this situation and things in Nigeria, when it comes to somebody dying in your hospital or in a house or a police station, people don't want to get involved. They just want to run away from it and say, you know what, take that person to a general hospital or take that person to, where they will accept, or you call in police. And when you call police, you still have to do statement. Where were you? How did you get involved? Most Nigerians don't want to get through that because the next thing when you put all that explanation in, we have to detain you. You need to call a lawyer or somebody to come and bail you.
And sometimes what that person need might be quick intervention.
But when they say all that, at times you now look at it, that not all the time, not that they are requesting for money, but you look at all the complications. I'm just doing these people a favor. Yeah. So why are you asking me to stay? Maybe I have where I'm going. I'm going on a journey too.
Or come back or keep reporting to the police station from time to
time. Tell you to come back. Most times they would even detain you. They will ask you to get a lawyer or one prominent person to come and so that anytime they need you. So it's I hope we'll get there. I hope we'll get there one day so that we'll understand that in a situation like that, you just have to show empathy and okay, this is what... I know there are some few cases that somebody might kill another person and say, yes, I found the body or anything. Just do a proper investigation and the whole thing will be sorted.
It's always tough.
Yes.
Ebony Funerals, you've buried a lot of powerful, prominent Nigerians. You want to share some names?
Yeah. Maybe few because...
just a few.
Because for 40 years, if I start mentioning names, I don't think we're going to live here for...
Let's just do some of the more prominent names.
Well, everybody's prominent to us. But, we appreciate every family that has patronized us. But starting from, from Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, the first president of Nigeria, Nwafọ Rizu, the first Senate president of Nigeria, Akanu Biam, the Eastern State, the Sin, Sam Mbakwe, Adekunle Ajasi, Stella Obasanjo, Chief Shoneko. That one is even buried in our cemetery in Ikoyi here. We have a lot. Kuforiji Olubi, even Saraki's mom is with us. Pastor Itua's wife, Ibidun Igdalo. And we've done a lot. Jonathan's junior brother, when he was president, we had to go to Itueke. That was my first time, like I said, of going to. So we were a lot of people that we've done burial for. But it's not just for prominent people. We're there for everybody. When you bereave, just let us know how much you want to spend, how you want to go about it. We'll be available to render that invaluable service to anybody that is. And there's let me tell you another thing. If we're doing, in a week, if we're doing 6 to 7 burials, at times 2 or 3 of those burials are free.
Oh.
Yeah. They're free.
Why?
Now, when people come when they're in such a predicament and when they come to us you look at the whole situation. This is, if they explain, this is what happened, this is what I don't have a job, I don't even know how to move the body out of the house. Some situation you have to even explain to them, okay, call police, after that we can help you move. When they come with their kind of predicament, at times you feel moved. You are moved to the extent that, okay, you're not going to get the kind of service, somebody paying money, but will assist you to give your departed loved one, thank you, a proper, kind of burial that will dignify burying that person. So, but people don't understand. They think we're just there. No, we're there for everybody.
That's powerful. You are top of the chain. Ebony Funeral is top of the chain.
Yeah.
You are telling me people who can't even afford to bury on their own even have the audacity to approach
you.
Do. And then
they do.
You help out. That
we
is
do.
Thought-provoking.
They do.
Thought-provoking. Now, I must ask you this question. In our earlier conversation, you had talked about, back in the time, it was even the in-laws who were the pallbearers and all of that. And then you, over time, you've brought all of this. But you've also brought something else that, so long ago was not a part of it. Entertainment.
Yeah.
The pallbearers literally becoming performers, dancing.
The brass band.
Sometimes they will throw the casket, you're like, hey! Like, what's that? And where did that come from?
Now, you see, the kind of, in those days, the New Orleans, in America, when they're doing the burial, people that were taken there were taken from Africa, the slaves that were taken there, and they try to incorporate the culture of dancing and everything. When it comes to dancing and music, it's the whole thing. It's from Africa here, the way we dance. And so we felt, okay, if the person that we're burying is old and the family, they're happy, they're giving their departed mother or father a befitting burial, we can add culture to it. We can add, like most Nigerians, if you hear, because the trumpet and drums, those mobile brass band, they are more like brigade theme. Yeah. And when we were all growing up, anytime you hear trumpet and band, you want to dance, you want to join.
Fanfare.
So that is how we incorporated all these things into the funeral. That if you are, typical Yoruba, Atigbe, Mama, Rele, you want to add fanfare, people want to dance behind it. So we'll ask the pallbearers. So the throwing up, we don't allow throwing up the casket. Okay. No, you can shake and move and just wiggle. We don't encourage throwing the body upstairs. You can't do that. You don't insult.
Yeah. Okay.
You can't. If it's the kind of funeral that it is the brass band that will play. So we expect the family to dance if that's what they want, because most times they request for it. The pallbearers, when they are carrying, even if they're going to shake, they're not going to throw the casket or anything. They just their footsteps shaking and moving, left and right to the rhythm of the music, not throwing up the casket. No, we don't allow that. But that's just what we brought, into this funeral thing. And a lot of people like it. And we don't overdo it. We always tell our boys, don't overdo it. Let it just go with the rhythm and let the family enjoy everything. Then when after the interment, some of the family will even invite them to the house that they should entertain them either in the hall or wherever they are doing the reception. So that the funny thing is that the same brass band, do you believe people call them for birthdays and other things, graduations, you see them dancing, and it's the same brass band that plays. But what actually brought them to limelight is the funeral thing.
Yeah.
Because in those days, before we started all this, it's just the regular brigade band.
Yeah.
They play in churches, not coming to the house to play. No. But when we introduced them, into all this, the whole thing started from Odulami, MIC and Ebony, incorporate all these things, and people find it
back in the day. The competition was Ebony and MIC. Ever had a mishap? Either from Ebony or maybe one of the competition that you came, a mishap where something happens, somebody drops a casket or something like that?
No, with us on Odunlami, with MIC and I, what we do, people don't realize. Do you see those boys that you see them carrying casket, do rehearsal every week.
Whoa.
We do rehearsal every week. And that's why we use, most times you have 6 pallbearers.
Yeah.
Even if one of the pallbearers happen to trip or anything, you still have 5 people holding the casket to balance it. There's always rehearsal every Tuesday. If you come to Ebony Funeral Home in Ekoi there, you see the boys training. You see, the weight that we put in those caskets for rehearsal is almost 3 times the weight of the human remains. The average human remains that will go into the casket. So they do rehearsal with it. Even they do rehearsal with 4. So in case somebody trips and there's a problem with one person, the 4 or the 5, they're still holding the casket.
They know what to do.
They know what to do.
So the casket has never dropped.
With us, it has never dropped. It has never dropped. That's why we do that. We rehearse. At times, if we have such job that in a week we have more than the week prior week to that week that we have maybe a lot of burials to do, we double the rehearsal to twice the week before.
Because you have to also increase the personnel.
And if you look at another thing, I've seen in countries, other countries in Africa where they drop the casket. I've seen it online. You know why? The height of the pallbearers has to be relatively the same. But if you have somebody as tall as this and you have the next person to it, so you see,
there is an imbalance.
They don't know that. Some of those people don't know that. So the height has to be relatively, even if there's going to be difference in height, you can hardly see it. So if the taller person has a problem, the one that is next to that person is holding that casket, is suspending it from doing anything or from having problems with it. So that's why their height, they have to be relatively close, either the same height or just slightly different. These are the technicalities a lot of them don't know. They see us do it in Nigeria and they're like, they want to do it too. That's where the problem lies.
I get it.
And they don't get it right at times. They do get it right at times, but at times they overdo it. When they start spinning, you don't do all that, start spinning casket. No, it's not done. You are not dignifying the dead by spinning it. No. Even most families don't like it.
Do you have grown-up children?
Yeah, yes.
Any of them,
yeah,
are, part of the business? But
yes. Even one of my boys is he just left Chicago. He went for NFDA. We're a member of NFDA, NAFD. The NFDA is National Funeral Director Association. Then we have NAFD, the NFDA, that is of America. We're about 10,000 funeral directors that we meet every year in America. every year, different states. We discuss, we share. Then, and that of the UK, Europe, we also attend, the convention, exhibition, and they do send their people to Nigeria too. To check what we have on ground. If there's new innovation in the business, we take it there. Other funeral directors, they bring it from their own countries to exhibit, to show what they are doing, new things in funeral business. And we share ideas, we rub minds, and that's how we've been. About 7 to 8 associations, we have the Nigerian one too, so that we share ideas, we rub minds, and let's... if there's anything in the industry that, but what we have right now, Ebony Funeral Home is the only funeral home that has everything in one compound. The first to have everything. We have a showroom, we have a hall, which is a chapel, we have a mortuary, we have a crematorium, we have our vehicles as heirs, we have a cemetery, in one-stop shop in one place. And we have parking space for over 100 cars in the compound.
All of that in Ikoyi?
In Ikoyi here.
But I can't afford any of it.
You can. I just told you if we're doing 6 to 7 burial, 1 or 2 might be free. So it depends on how much you want to spend.
Brilliant.
And we're there for everybody. Come.
Do you have an arrangement where a 40, 50-year-old man is like, you know what, I might as well begin to set something aside just in case I don't want to stress my wife or my kid if anything were to happen to me, but I don't have lump sum. I just want to set something aside periodically, maybe monthly or maybe annually or quarterly. Do you have people who make such requests?
Yes, we do. I did mention it earlier. It's called prepaid funeral arrangement.
Yeah, prepaid can be one-off, but...
No, we allow them to spread.
Okay.
We allow them to spread the payment. It's a prepaid. We allow them to, even up to the vaults, they book the vaults and say... So we have some people that have paid for their vault in the last 7, 8 years, and they are still alive. They're still alive, walking around, working. I have my friends too, that have paid for their vault, and they still come around to sit with me, chat with me, and we get to see all the time. They've paid for their vault. It's a prepaid thing. We spread the payment so that whether casket or anything, it's called prepaid. Since the insurance company are not forthcoming. In the past, in Europe or America, it's the insurance company that takes care of that they deal with the funeral homes. And anytime you approach the insurance, you make arrangement with them, they will get in touch with us. But we don't have any right now in Nigeria. We have 1 or 2 of them that has called us, but they've not really sat down with us to make all these arrangements.
My next question will be multiple. Okay. How do you deal emotionally, psychologically, as a result of proximity to so much death? How do you cope? Do you have fears around the dead or anything? Is the topic of death something you're comfortable discussing with your children or with family? How does everybody cope emotionally, having to time after time, funeral after funeral, multiple funerals a week, and all of that? How do you cope emotionally and psychologically? Especially sometimes, and I'm sure some of the people you handle are people maybe a few, but you may have had a relationship with, maybe somebody you knew personally, and all of that. How do you navigate all of that? Because even doctors are emotionally weighed down sometimes by so much sickness, so much pain, so much death.
Yeah, thank you. You see, when you're a funeral director, you don't allow your emotion to come in when you're busy working. You don't allow your emotion to come in. Reason why? You are people that approach you every day. They are emotionally charged as at that point in time, and they're looking up to you to lead and
provide
strength and gives them way out of their predicament. So if you allow your emotion to come in, you won't be able to lead. You won't be able to tell them what to do, how to go about it, and this needs to be done. It's like coming to the compound for burial. In a week, I see up to 300, 400, 500 people cry every week when they come for burial. But what I do is we just go do the job. Because if you allow your emotion to come in, as at that point in time, you're going to drop the ball. The same way I train all my staff, that when you're on duty, when you get home, you can sit down and say, oh, that person they buried could be my son, my cousin, my brother, my sister, my daughter. But while you're doing that job, you throw away your emotion. True. You just have to do what you have to do.
How about when you are not doing the job, when you are alone?
When you are alone, when you get home, you just think about it, because really there's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing. Who are we? I mentioned it there. I said, who are we to query God? As long as you believe, you know, and you believe life and death, they walk hand in hand. So when it's gonna happen, you don't know.
Yeah.
But it's definitely going to happen. So you have to prepare your mind. Yeah. That's why when I have this philosophy, when I tell people this saying, let me put it that way. I always tell people, I said, 2 soldiers are sent to the war front. While in the war front, battlefield, they're fighting, danger, but they're surviving. Now, from the barracks, they now recall one of the soldiers. They call him back to the barracks, and they handed him a retirement letter that you've been retired. Sorry, they paid him all his gratuity, and they said you have to go home. And the other soldier still in the war front fighting, that he heard the news that they retired his friend, and he was shocked and he started crying. Why would you retire my friend like that? He's still young and active. We're fighting this war together. And why would you call him back to the barracks and retire him?
Yeah.
So he's now crying for the person they retired. So, and he's still the one in the war front. Is he supposed to be the one crying for the person that has been, for the soldier that has been retired? Or the soldier that has been retired is the one that should be crying that my colleague, my friend, is still in that war front. We in this war, we're still the one in the war front. The person that has died and gone, we believe heaven is our home. They should be the one sympathizing with us. Because we are the ones in the war front. We don't know where we're going to go. He has been retired. Enemy is not going to shoot him in his house anymore. He's no longer in the war front. So you see, that's how I see. I say this at times and people are like, why are you thinking that way? But that's the reality.
Yeah. Yeah.
We keep crying for people that have gone. If we all believe heaven is our home, God has called that person back to heaven and is resting. He's not going to have an accident there. NEPA is not going to take light there. He's not going to look for food according to what all the religious book or what they taught us. That when you are gone, you've gone to rest. So that's it. It's just.
Do you hold personal beliefs along those lines yourself?
Yes, according to how we were brought up. Yeah, that we're going home. Heaven is home. We're all going to go one day.
Ever had a conversation with your family about, look, my son or my wife, if I die, are you able to have that kind of conversation at the family level? That is you personally.
Nah, I don't discuss, because I believe they should know. This is what I've been doing, and they've been with me all along. That should be their problem. Yeah. That's the way I say it. It's not my problem. That is their problem. That they know, since they're in the business.
Yeah,
they know what I like. They know how I should be buried, and so I don't have to tell them.
What's your relationship with fear? I mean, do you have anything you fear?
Oh, I don't fear death. I know it's going to happen. Whether you fear death or you don't, it's inevitable end. What I fear, I believe, is poverty. I fear poverty and in the sense that there are people that I really, really need. If I see people that I need, I always feel bad if I'm not able to help because I've gone through a lot myself when I was young. So that's why I said maybe poverty. People that I need. And if you are one of those that you are opportune to help those that I need and you are not ready to help them, it pains me. It pains me a lot to see them and but I know somebody can be of help. I'm not saying, although some people abuse that privilege when you try to be there for them.
Yeah.
They abuse the privilege.
Human nature sometimes.
They take advantage. They want to take advantage of you. But when you see people that are comfortable, a bit comfortable, and which they can be of help to others, and they refuse, to, it really, I'm afraid of that. That each time I see people, I look at them like, you are just lucky to be who you are or where you are today. If you cannot render help to those that are not privileged as you, I don't know the word to use. Maybe I'm using the wrong word by saying I'm afraid of poverty or something, because we're all not going to be rich. We're all not going to build houses. We're all not going to buy cars. We're all not going to be able to afford to fly to wherever we want to fly to.
Business owners.
Or something. But the little comfort you can get or you can give people so that they feel comfortable and they feel, okay, there's reason to be in this life. Because it's a great thing to be born. It's a tragedy if you do not know the reason why you are born. Some of us are born to assist people. Some of us are born to give out knowledge to people. Some of us are born to be activists and say, I'm fighting for the masses. Some of us might not physically fight or go out there to make noise. On the ground, some of us will say, okay, financially, I'm helping you. But this, in my own little ways. So when I see people that are really in need and you cannot do anything, it always pains me. It's not everybody you're going to help. I still ask for help from a lot of people, because what we're doing, we get loans, and then when we walk to the banks to ask for loan, at times they will turn us down, at times they will assist. At the end of the day, we're trying to make ends meet. So when you see people that are struggling, but they're not there, they're not getting it right, they are trying their best, but things are not working out for them, it pains me more to see those kind of people. That's just that's my thing.
Okay. I appreciate your answer. Yeah. There's a lot of spontaneity in your line of work. Sometimes your calendar is clear. We have this on this date and that on that date. Sometimes, a lot of times, I'm sure things happen just out of the blues. Suddenly, your attention is needed. How do you balance all of that with family life? Was there, maybe you have become so good at it now, but was there a time where there was a difficulty juggling the demands of your work and family life?
Yeah, that has always been. You see, in funeral business, you don't have privacy. One, you need to do a lot of sacrifice in terms of sacrificing your time, and at times it affects your family. Yeah, definitely. When I started new, my wife, then my children, they think I don't love them. They think because I don't create time. But if I tell you, then I didn't mention it earlier, I go to 2 to 3 states in one weekend to do burial.
Whoa.
There's no state in Nigeria that I've not driven to personally for burial when I started. I started with one casket. I employed a carpenter. I was the salesman. I was a delivery man. I'll be the one to go and pick up the body from anywhere in Nigeria. I'll be the one to drop the body or casket. Some people, I've done as far back as Ghana, Ivory Coast, to do burial. So I've driven to all the states. I used to drive from, in those days then, if you're going to Enugu, if you're going to Onitsha, you can be on that Onitsha bridge for 4 hours. Traffic. That Onitsha market, they've not done that road then. Those trucks will park on the road. And probably I'm still going to Abia State. Probably I'm still going to Benin. I've driven all the states in Nigeria. At times 2 a.m., 3 a.m. driving on the road just to deliver a casket or to deliver body. And by which they are doing the burial a day or 2 days after I get there. I've gone with my staff. We've had an accident that some of my staff have died about 3 or 4 times. But that does not stop us. We still have to. So we've had a lot of challenges. At times, I leave Lagos on Thursday. I'll attend wake keep. I can attend wake keep in Onitsha. Attend the burial proper in Calabar for another burial. Not the same burial, but every then, because a lot of people, they come to Lagos. They live in Lagos. A lot of the prominent people, they live in Lagos. But they see the way we do funeral in Lagos. We're ahead of other states. The way they just sell caskets and they don't do anything else. Even their mortuaries were nothing to write home about. So majority of the prominent people in Nigeria, they live in Lagos. So they rather buy their casket in Lagos. They rather want you to come and deliver or do the burial for them over there. So I can go to Onitsha on Thursday, attend the wake keep. The burial is still the following day, but I won't wait for the burial. I have to go to another one in Calabar, attend the burial proper, leave Calabar. I have to go to Benue to attend church service on a Sunday. You know why? I have different staff. My team will be there for the whole burial thing, but I will have to appear because the family wants me to be there.
To see you in person.
So they will assume that I've been there 2-3 days. They just want to see me to say, yes, the funeral director himself was there. So I keep driving on those roads. I don't know whether you know, from Enugu to Benue, Night Mile, I'll drive. The road is so... People are even scared. Even when His Excellency Akume was governor, I used to drive to any burial he has then in Benue. I'll be the one to do. If he has to do with government, Abu Obedi, all of them. Clementi Song in Cross River, I did this, but Ambassador Mbu, all of them, I did them. I'm always on the road. And you can imagine if the burial they're doing is on Saturday, maybe I have another one in Egunu or Kwara. And they also, even up to Olawoyi and all that, I did a burial in Kwara. So I have to attend one. The following day, maybe around 5 a.m., I'm leaving for another one. So up to Maduguri, gone use 2 days. Gone for Christians that live there. They come to Lagos, or some of them live in Lagos. They say, come and do burial. Ghana, we've been to Ghana to work, to do burials. In Ghana, in Ivory Coast, in Benin Republic. Because they don't do the way we do funeral. It's now that Ghana is doing funeral. They've copied us, they do, and they've go ahead, they do design their casket in such a way. But when we started, They don't do it that way. We brought in the funfair and everything, and they love it. They say it then. Ghanaians that were in Lagos then, they saw the whole thing and they said, okay, come and show us the... So it's actually affected my family. They think I don't have time. But now when they are grown up, especially my children, when they're like, wow, is this what this man has been going through? Right now, it's better. Now we have a lot of staff and everything, they are in the business too. But it still takes tolls on me that most of our business, you see my number there, the first two numbers, when they call...
Your personal numbers?
Yes, I still pick the phone. That's why I said, no privacy, no, you sacrifice. So I said, pick the phone. I can now designate somebody to go and carry on I say, pick that call, attend to the client and say, okay, somebody else will call you. Or I link that person with the client, then they will take it off. And I tell the client, if you're not comfortable with what my colleague is telling you anything, please call me. So you don't have, in this business, even if I'm in America, I'm in Hong Kong doing business or anywhere, you can always reach me.
Were you already married when you started?
No, I started before I got married.
So when you first met your wife and you were looking to ask her hand in marriage, did she have any reservation about your line of work?
She did, but the good thing is that this is my street where I grew up and where I was doing the thing, and she lives on the next. She already knows that's what I do for a living.
Okay.
She knows that's what I do for a living. This is what I do for a living.
Yeah, like you also said, the Odunlami area.
It's synonymous with casket and funeral. And she grew up on Kakawa, which is next to Odunlami, right behind Odunlami. So that's
pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I just something that just struck me about your team and the attires they wear.
Yeah.
Is it standardized, or what prompts what they wear? What determines, are we in suit, are we in native and abitiaja, or are we in white and,
Yes, that's why I said we incorporate our culture and customs into funeral. In those days, it's only suit, white suit, and cream suit or white suit or black suit that people wear. So we now felt, okay, this is a 95-year-old man that just died. He's from Osun State or he's from Ondo State. And the children, the man doesn't like English wear. He prefers Nigeria traditional wear. And we're like, okay, we'll tell the family, there's Sonyo, there's Alari for somebody from this state, from Ondo, or Shun, or Yo. We say, okay, the pallbearers. If you're the children, you are wearing this same this ashoke. We can wear ashoke. We can sew ashoke too and wear it. So it shows that your dad or your mom, this is what he or she liked when the person was alive. And let's carry that person